Doritos, one of America's favorite snacks. Invented by Tommy Dorito in Red Bank, New Jersey in 1973. Nope, that's not true. Actually, it's derived from the Spanish word for very small door. Okay, also not true. But today we are going to be making Doritos Nachos, which I know sounds crazy and unhealthy, but it is wonderful. And we're also going to be making those with a homemade habanero salsa, because if you've never made your own salsa, you really should. So, with these nachos, I got a few different components that I wanted to talk to you guys about, including a spice mix that's kind of a taco seasoning, the fresh salsa, as I mentioned before, a habanero salsa, and then using pork country ribs for the meat component, which is a very fun choice. We're also going to use a little cashew lime crema to top these, and then a little bit of avocado. So we're going to get started with the habanero salsa, and this is going to begin with a quarter of a red onion diced, along with one whole habanero pepper finely diced, half of a jalapeno pepper also finely diced, and then about a quarter teaspoon of chipotle chili powder, and just a couple of dashes of cumin. We're then going to hit that with some lime juice, and you need about 2 limes worth of juice here, just to kind of cook those onions and peppers a little bit to kind of tie everything together. Then we're going to add our tomatoes. It's a 26-ounce can of Pomi chopped tomatoes. You can use whatever tomatoes you like. You can use fresh tomatoes if you want. And then we're going to give that a stir. After we've stirred that up a little bit, what we're going to do is put this in the refrigerator and let that sit for a couple hours. I promise those flavors will only deepen and get better as time goes by. And also resist the urge to over-season this at this stage because, like I said, a little bit later on, it's going to be a little bit better than it is right now. Once you have refrigerated that, what you're going to want to do is add a little bit of parsley, and then if you want kind of a more fine texture, just blitz it a little bit with an immersion blender. You can keep it chunky if you like, but we're looking for kind of a middle ground here, so we didn't puree this into like a soup, but what we did was just kind of give it a nice little puree to break down some of those big bits. So once you have this, your salsa is done. Alright, so let's get into our taco seasoning here. This is effectively my taco seasoning plus a couple of ingredients. So I've got 2 teaspoons of cumin there, 2 teaspoons chili powder, 1 teaspoon of oregano, and then we're going to get in with half a teaspoon of chipotle powder, quarter teaspoon cinnamon, quarter teaspoon smoked paprika, quarter teaspoon cocoa powder, and about a quarter teaspoon of cayenne. So this is kind of my standard taco seasoning with a couple of added things too, just to make it a little bit more of a chili vibe going on. So now let's get into our meats, and for this we're going to be using pork country ribs. These are a great solution if you want to do kind of a pulled pork, but you don't want to go through the whole slow cooking process of a big 4-pound pork shoulder. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these pork country ribs and I'm going to sear them off in a frying pan with a little bit of oil. Try to sear them better than I am searing them in this video, but this is just going to give them a little bit of color, just to caramelize them a little bit. Like I said, sear them better than I did, because there you see. After that, we're going to then add our seasoning mix, and we're going to let that kind of sit around for a few seconds, just to toss all the meat in with our taco seasoning. And then what I'm going to do is, instead of adding water, I want to add a little bit of beer. So I've got about 6 ounces of beer that I am going to add into our mixture here, right after I salt it, of course. All right, so the beer goes in, and you're about to see me take a step of adding some water. This step was completely unnecessary. You don't really need to do this. Just go with the 6 ounces of beer and you're fine. So the next thing that we're going to do is toss that around, give it a good zhuzh, and let that come up to a very aggressive simmer. And once you have this thing simmering in a way that's kind of aggressive, what we're going to do then is dial back that heat, and we're then going to let this slow cook for about 3 hours-ish. So there you see that the pot is simmering. You might argue that it's boiling, but whatever. So we're going to cut that heat down, and we're just going to let that slow cook on the stove, and after a few hours, it's going to look like this. Just like pulled pork, where you don't even really need to do much to it. You can just kind of squeeze it together with tongs, and it'll break apart. So So now you have your pork pretty much ready to go. What you're also going to want to do is add a can of drained black beans here, and then also maybe a little bit of cornstarch, like a cornstarch slurry, just to help you along there. All right, so now it's time for assembly. Base layer Doritos. I'm going to go ahead and put them on a plate here, and I'm now going to add my cashew lime crema. You can use sour cream here if you want. You can use cheese if you want. I'm going to do a video on cashew cream, because right now it's my current kitchen obsession. It's so versatile and goes into everything. Once your dairy base is down, whether it's cheese, sour cream, whatever, you can then add your meat, and we're just going to dollop all that on there. This is our pork and black bean mixture cooked in that taco seasoning. And then we're going to move on to our next maneuver, adding the layer of salsa. So our salsa going on, you can see there that it's got a really, really nice texture. That's because we decided to use that immersion blender just to kind of, do our thing there. We're just going to layer that on. And then in addition to that, I'm also going to top this with some chopped parsley that I'm just cutting with some scissors. You can also use cilantro here. We didn't have cilantro, so we used parsley. We're going to finish this off by topping it with some chopped avocado. You can mess around with this and turn it into guacamole if you want to, and that'll be nice for you. And there it is, our Doritos Nachos. Basically bar food at home, totally delicious, something you should definitely make. Give it a shot. It's going to be wonderful, and I hope you guys enjoy it. Make sure you like and subscribe for more videos, and we will talk to you again very soon. Bye, everybody.